Brenner Mills, Minnesota Vikings. Just want to win one before I die.
Lane Cooner, the conductor of the Baker train.
Man, is the NFL rigged? Maybe. Maybe not.
know.
Maybe not. If it is, and they haven't given me one Super Bowl yet, I'm kind of pissed about it. Like, I'm just asking for one. This isn't a lot here. We've been a thing for over 60 years, the Vikings. Like, you can't just work 1 year in there for the Vikes. Yeah, kind of disappointing. Welcome in. Welcome to Wide Eye Sports. We are here to talk about, is the NFL rigged? Is it not rigged? Why is it rigged? Why is it not rigged? We're just going to kind of get a discourse going. We're just going to kind of talk about it a little bit. Before we do that.
Yep.
What?
Before we do that.
Hold on. Before we do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the noti bell. Please do all that good stuff. We really appreciate it here. But before we do that, Spoon's got something special for us.
I got a little player comparison for you, sir.
You want me to pull it up on the screen here?
Go ahead and pull it up.
All right, putting it up on the screen, making us tiny, making it big. All right, so on the screen here,
yep,
I'm seeing, I'm going to call him Player A. Player A on the left. 7 games, 392 yards per game, 64.5% completion percentage, almost 3 tuds per game, 2.8, pick and a half per game, and a 91.8 passer rating. And then on the right, we have 8 games, 350.6 yards per game, 60% completion percentage, 2 tuds per game, the same 1.4 interceptions per game, and an 84.6 passer rating. Spoon, will you please give me the qualifications for what these are? Position, playoffs only?
Well, I was going to say, obviously, this is quarterbacks.
Okay, quarterback. So it's quarterbacks.
And this is postseason stats.
Postseason stats for current NFL quarterbacks?
For current NFL quarterbacks. Both are still in the league. Both are starting quarterbacks still for their teams.
Does either player have an MVP or multiple MVPs?
One does have an MVP.
Okay, so I'm going to take a guess, and I'm feeling pretty confident in these guesses. I'm going to say the 8 games is Lamar Jackson.
Yes, that is Lamar Jackson.
Cool.
So before you say who, though, which stats would you lean towards being better?
Oh, for sure, Player A. Player A has played much better, and I think I know where this is going, too.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
7 games is Josh Allen.
No.
Oh, damn.
No.
All right.
God, I love it. I love this.
You got me good there. I thought for sure you're going Lamar Josh debate. I thought for sure. 392 yards per game in the playoffs over 7 games?
Yeah.
As a quarterback?
I was shocked whenever I saw it, too.
7 games. Is it Joe Burrow?
No.
No, not Joey B. It's not Joey B. It's not Josh Allen.
This quarterback is not in the AFC.
Okay. NFC guy. Oh my God. Is this fucking Brock Purdy?
No.
Okay, thank God. I was like, no fucking way. This dude averages 400 yards a game. Is it Jalen Hurts?
Nope.
Okay, thank God. I was like, no fucking chance.
No way he averages that.
I'm trying to think of guys that also use their legs too, because there's no way anybody's averaging 400 throwing yards a game. You would have just put passing yards.
This is passing yards. I'm sorry. It's not.
Oh, it's just passing yards?
Just passing yards.
Holy,
yes.
Over 7 games, this dude's averaging 392 yards per game passing in the NFC.
Yeah, my bad. I did not clarify that. Yes, it's not rushing. This is only passing.
Is this Matthew Stafford?
No.
No, he's probably.
And
he's probably got about 7. You took it down. Oh, it's coming back. You're good. 91. The 91 passer rating this guy's obviously played from behind a lot in playoff games if he's got almost 400 passing yards a game.
I'm double checking the stats right now. Yeah, it's 392 passing yards a game.
Yeah. Because the 91 passer rating is a little low for that many passing yards. So I'm like missing an obvious one. It's gonna make me so mad when I get it, and you're like, oh, it was. You tell me who it is, or I get it, and I'm like, oh, of course it was him. This is definitely one of those. So I'm just running through the NFC quarterbacks in my head. It's not Russell Wilson. He doesn't pass for that many yards per game. He's in the AFC.
Plays in the AFC, yeah.
And it's not Matthew Stafford. It's not Jalen Hurts. It's not Brock Purdy. Kirk Cousins hasn't played that many games. Aaron Rodgers has played more than 7 postseason games. And he's in the AFC now. I'm just trying to think of throughout the past few years. Brock Purdy's been like the mainstay of the NFC. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have been up there every year. Good gracious. 3 touchdowns a game over 7 games, 400 passing yards a game.
I mean,
but he's not playing. He's not playing overly well because the passer rating is below average. An average passer rating is like 95, 97 area. So he's playing below average. He's having to come back late in games.
Come on, brother. You got this. It's super easy. It really is easy.
It is, isn't it? It's Baker Mayfield, isn't it? Damn it. Damn it.
Good guess though, but no.
God. When you said it was easy, I was like,
it's as easy as Baker Mayfield.
God, no, it's just so much pressure, and I'm trying to think really fast, and like, oh, who is it? So I just need to slow it down.
Slow it down. It's as easy as Baker Mayfield.
We just need to go by division. Is it Jared Goff?
No.
Okay, cool. Can't be Jordan Love. Can't be Sammy. Can't be Caleb. Is this Dak Prescott?
This is Dak Prescott. So looking at this, you're sitting.
Oh my God.
If you just look at stats blindly and you see these two compared, you're sitting there saying, wow, Dak is better at passing in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson is.
For sure.
So I saw the stat and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I believe that's crazy. And I don't think either of us are trying to sit here and say that Lamar Jackson
100%.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Absolutely.
I just don't want to mislead anybody. We're not trying to say that, Lamar is not as good as Dak Prescott. It's just, people get misled by blind stats all the time, and that's one of those that can do that, right? Like it's if you didn't put passer rating up there, I would just have assumed this dude was just a god. Like he was just, oh my God, he's insanely amazing. The passer rating, I love that stat because it kind of tells you more about how they're playing and what they're playing from. Because if it's below average but high stats, that means there were some screw ups and they're probably playing from behind, throwing the ball a lot.
What usually happens when the Cowboys are in the playoffs. We're playing from behind, at least down a tutty or two.
Exactly.
Dak's slinging the books.
Thank you. That was a good one. That stumped me. That was a good one. I like that one. Let's talk though. Let's talk about the NFL potentially, maybe not being, as people like to say, rigged. So a couple of things here to start off.
I know some people are mad at Adam Scheffler for his tweets.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to start off with a couple of the bigger storylines from the past couple of years that people use to, verify the NFL's rigged because of this. So before the Super Bowl in 2023, a well-known running back by the name of Arian Foster, you may have heard of him, Houston Texan running back, was very good, several-time Pro Bowler. I think he even made an All-Pro team once or twice.
Top fantasy football player.
Yeah, very great undrafted free agent. He went on with, I believe it was Barstool, and he sat in a chair and he told them, yeah, the NFL's rigged. They give us a script every preseason. It's like the WWE. We, all the outcomes are predetermined. The punches are real. We're still out there playing the game. We got to put on a show, but the outcome's rigged every year. We get the script. And, several former and current NFL players at the time, including but not limited to Alvin Kamara, Marlon Humphrey, Matthew Judon, Emmanuel Ocho, Darius Slayton, George Foster, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Brandon Weeden all took to Twitter immediately and discredited this and made fun of him and mocked him and laughed and blah, 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 blah. Emmanuel Ocho was like, when I saw the script of me getting cut 5 times before I was 25, I was kind of bummed out. So, just little gambits like that. So That's one of the big ones that people like to use. Like, oh, they've already admitted like the NFL's rigged. Like Arian Foster came out and admitted it. What other proof do you need? And
did he come out? Like, my thing is, did he come out and say it because it is rigged, or did he say it just because he was obviously out of the NFL at the time?
Need some clout.
He wanted his name in the news. That's all it was.
No pub is bad pub. That's the truth. And then all these players discrediting it. The NFL never really made an official statement because why would you?
What, you don't comment on that?
Yeah, why would you comment on that?
Nope.
Why would you give any credential to that if you're the NFL? I don't know. I've never thought personally that the NFL is scripted. Do I believe there are illegitimate errors in the game? Yes. Do I think they're fixable? Yes, absolutely. We're going to get at, a little later in the show, we're going to get more into that. But the other one that has popped up in some recent years, the Super Bowl logo theory. Have you heard of this?
Yes, and I've been paying attention to it pretty well for the last few years, and I mean, it's
kind of been dead on.
It's been dead on. It's been dead on. Pretty accurate.
So I'm going to pull it up here, and we're going to talk about it. So I'm pulling it up on the screen here.
That's the only thing that I can sit here and say.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So this is a funny one for me, the Taylor Swift thing. That's why I put it in there. Obviously, it was the Chiefs and red for Chiefs, red for 49ers, so it still works. But I thought the Taylor Swift picture was funny, so I did it. So obviously, Super Bowl 56, you have Bengals, Rams, you have orange on top, yellow on bottom. You see the color coordination there. You have Super Bowl 57, Philly against Kansas City. Green on top, red on bottom. You see the correlation there. San Francisco at Kansas City, or not at, but versus Kansas City in Super Bowl 58. You have the red in the logo for both teams on the left and the right of the logo. You have it, the Super Bowl, the Lombardi Trophy dividing the middle of the logo. Red on the left, red on the right. Two red teams. There you go. And then last but not least, it's kind of hard to tell in this picture, and I don't know if I can zoom in any closer here, but it's kind of hard to tell. So you have the red for the Kansas City, and then there's outlines of yellow and interior of green. So it's
I see the green,
yeah. The outer edge of the green is all yellow. It's really hard to tell in this picture. It's just kind of, pixelated because...
So Chiefs are yellow.
Chiefs are red and yellow, and Philly's green.
So
bada bing, bada boom. So that's 4 straight years now, and there are rumors. Nothing has been confirmed yet. There are several rumors stating that next year's Super Bowl logo is entirely baby blue. The entire thing is just baby blue with a silhouette of San Francisco in the background because that's where the Super Bowl will be held. And that would mean the Detroit Lions are probably going to win the Super Bowl next year, which would make me cry a little bit. Or a lot. Probably a lot, really. But those are the two biggest, see, the NFL's obviously rigged. I saw a lot of tweets I was looking back from earlier in the season and go, oh, well, we know the Chiefs and Eagles are playing in the Super Bowl because it's red and green, so there you go. Or there was the Jets and the Niners, right? That was another big one before the season started because the Jets were, Rodgers is coming back. They're going to be so good, this and that and the other. So, yeah, those are a few things. The next part of this is where it gets touchy is because it's the referees. I have been a big proponent on this show over the past couple of years. It's crazy we've been doing this almost 2 years. Yeah. Year and a half, I guess. Full-time referees. There's no excuse that in a multi-billion-dollar industry, billion with a B, multiple billions, made by 32 dudes run this league. 33 if you count the commissioner, who's their puppet, right? 32 dudes make billions of dollars. And, there's, I think, 10 head referees in the NFL, 10 or 12, with 7 dudes on each crew. So 100 dudes. There's no reason you can't take out $1 million out of that multi-billion-dollar industry and pay the refs $100,000 a year so that they don't have to worry about their jobs for the rest of the year and they can just live a normal life and devote their life to the game of football, studying it, just different ways, different things. And I've been a big proponent of adding new technology to the referees, right? There's no reason, and I mean no reason. So RFID chips, are you familiar with that term, Spoon?
No, but I know where this is going. You're talking about putting the chip in the ball, right?
Well, yeah. So the RFID chips, they already have them in shoulder pads. They have 3 sets right here, so interior and exterior of the shoulder pad, to then calculate exactly like you've seen those animations of like the bubbles moving on the field, right? On plays. Those are with the RFID chips. Those are tracked players. Like that's real time where all those players are at. That's how they put those together. There is no reason you shouldn't have 6, 7 chips in the ball, in each ball, and at that point, you can have each of the pylons have chips in them, and now you have a grid in which you can tell where the ball is at any given moment. Then you put 2 chips in the first down marker, and now you have a line. And now you can tell exactly where the ball is and exactly if it touches that line or not.
Yep.
There is absolutely zero excuse that the NFL should not be pouring let's say $5 million a year into technology and making the game better through those avenues specifically. They make enough money. I have to pay $400 a person to sit in the back row of Lambeau Stadium when I go watch a Vikings-Packers game, okay? I have to sit in the back row and pay $400 a seat. That's like a 65,000 person stadium, and the cheapest seats are $400. Like, what are you spending the money on? Like, everybody, like, each of the owners can just take a $1 million pay cut out of their, $70 million salary next year.
And that's also while you're drinking $10, $12 beers as well.
Yeah. Oh, dude, 10, 12. Dude, okay.
15 sometimes.
Come in close. I'm gonna get real close with you here, okay? When I went to the Vikings Seahawks game, we got two absolute orange shots of vodka. Absolute orange. Not a very, prestigious vodka. It's pretty low on the totem pole. $20 a shot before tip. $20. A tall boy of Bud Light is $16 16 at the Seahawks Stadium.
Yeah, so don't even, like, I know we're talking ticket prices, but then you got concession prices that they're making so much money off of.
Atlanta is the only team in the nation, only team that has the right to be like, nah, we do more for concessions than anybody else. They have like sodas for like $2. They have beers for like $8 to $10. They have hot dogs for like $3, pretzels for like $2. They have way reduced prices compared to everybody else in the NFL. And props to you, Falcons, for doing that. The Vikings also just reduced their prices, but that's because they paid their stadium off 30 years early. So they were able to drop it, not because they're doing it for feel good, but because they're doing it because they don't owe money on the stadium anymore. Now it's just all net profit for them. So aside from paying the people to be there and paying for the product, so they no longer pay rent. It's just
as a whole though, let's say the NFL has to pay a few $1 million just to up their technology. They should absolutely do that because we wouldn't have issues. We wouldn't be arguing still days later. Did Josh Allen get the first down or not? We wouldn't be arguing that. We would know.
So here's my thing with it. So I live in Washington, and it is not legal to sports bet here. So I am not saying on camera that I have ever sports bet in the state of Washington because that is illegal, and I would never do that. However, if I were to sports bet, per se, I would be very upset if my money came down to a referee making a judgment call on, I think he was holding there. I think he hit Patrick Mahomes in the head there a little too hard on that play. Free first down, and the Chiefs win the game and cost you money. Like, that's the kind of stuff that the NFL, there are also people, where it is legal, putting billions of dollars on these games, right? Like, people are throwing money at sports books, putting money on these games, and they're not going to do that if every week it comes down to, well, are they going to throw a flag for Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Like in the Eagles game, There was a play earlier in the game. Saquon Barkley's foot was coming down out of bounds, and the Commanders player hit him with his shoulder, and they threw the flag, right? That, in my opinion, shouldn't have been thrown because he was like that on the out of bounds stripe, right? Like his foot had barely just started to touch, right? Like the dude's running full speed. He can't just pull up, and it's not like he picked Saquon up and slammed him to the ground. He just checked him with his shoulder, and they're both running full speed. So it was a collision. That's all it was. And in the Bills-Chiefs game, Josh Allen is running down the sideline and goes out of bounds and gets hit well out of bounds and gets trucked into his own bench. His head ends up underneath his bench. No flag. No flag. Like you got to get that. That's got to be consistent. That's got to be something that's either called or not called every single time. And I understand these are real people making real-time calls, and it's,
Well, it's also like the holding calls. So, for instance, one of the things that I remember whenever I was a kid hearing my dad or my grandpa or my uncle talk about football, they always said, there's one saying that always like resonated with me, is that you could call holding on every play in the NFL if you wanted to. I'm like, now what, 20 something years later, and I look at it and I'm just like, damn, like there's certain plays that you can go back and watch where no flags ever called. You're just like, oh, there's holding on that play. Oh, there's holding on that play. So now we're leaving it up to the refs to call a holding whenever they basically want to call a holding. Like if it's kind of like if it's egregious enough.
They're doing that on all plays too. And they're doing it on all plays. They're doing it on pass interference plays too, which really pisses me off. There was the Devonta Smith touchdown. That wasn't a touchdown, but he went to try to catch a touchdown on the right side of the end zone, and the Bengals defender was all over him. Clear PI. Like, no question it was PI. Yep. The referee on the pylon waits to see if he catches it, and when he doesn't catch it, then throws the flag. If he had caught it, he wouldn't have thrown it because, touchdown either way, who cares? But, like, you have to throw that flag regardless. You can't just wait and be like, did he catch it? Yeah. No? Okay, now you get the flag. Versus if you caught it, no flag. Like, no, that just needs to be thrown. A consistent call every time. Be consistent. Or don't throw it every time. I won't care. Just be consistent about it. And it really bugs me that kind of stuff happens all the time, where referees are just given all this runway to be like, yeah, well, it's a judgment call, and it's these are real life humans. They make mistakes. Like, I get that they make mistakes, and I get they're real life humans, but we can control some of it. Like, not all of it, but there's some of it that we can control and that we can make better, such as spotting the ball on the field. It would be super simple for one referee, the main referee, to have a little earpiece in his ear, right? That he already has, and somebody's sitting up in a booth watching the game on the left screen, and on the right screen, it has a grid of the field with the little RFID chips that are in the ball, tracking where the ball is. Then you have the line to gain, you have the end zones, the whole thing. And then they can just be like, yep, ball spot on the 34-yard line. First down, spot on the 42-yard line. Like, it's that easy. It takes one dude and some chips and a ball. Like, I get it. They use a lot of footballs. I understand that. They make billions of dollars. They can afford to take the time and put the fucking chips in the ball and hire the one dude per game, the 16 dudes a week, to sit in a chair and go, first down, 42-yard line. Second and 3, 43-yard line. Like, it's all it's going to take. And then so much of the game, like the entire chains crew, becomes hyper efficient. You can keep them there just for the look of the game. Hell, you can fire the chain crew and have 4 total dudes for 2 for each side, right? Chain, and 1 referee with 1 dude sitting up in the booth. You just fired 2 referees. You just got rid of 2 refs. Right there, done. 2 refs gone.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Would this better the game or make the game worse? Obviously, if this were to happen, the game would be a little longer. But should penalties be reviewed? Be able to be reviewed? Because personally, I think that would help the game.
So my issue with penalties being reviewed is it's a little bit hypocritical because of the fact I don't care if the game is longer. Put football on for 5 hours. Oh no! Like,
Yeah.
I would love that. The problem that it comes to for me is that what happens when there's an egregious penalty that's not reviewed,
Right.
and then we're just stuck in the same spot. Like, they either have to be it's like touchdowns. They either have to be, every one of them's got to be reviewed, or none of them have to be reviewed. It's kind of that line. And that's why they went away from the reviewable pass interference call that they implemented a couple years ago, because they were having to do every single one of them, because it was every play there's a little pass interference. I have talked about this throughout the season. It is super simple to fix the pass interference part of things. The holding thing we'll talk about in a minute, but pass interference. So we've talked about how to fix the spot of the ball,
Yep.
touchdowns, first downs. We've talked about that. Let's move on to pass interference. Pass interference is real simple. Any contact that's not holding, obviously, any contact within the first 5 yards, still legal. Like, all that's still good, right? Any contact initiated by the offensive player beyond 5 yards completely nullifies all pass interference. If the offensive player is pushing out away from the defender, if he sticks his arm out to press away from the defender can grab his arm. Don't push away if you don't want your arm grabbed. Like, it's that simple. If the offensive guy is willing to put hands on and create separation, the defensive guy should be allowed to grab on and reduce the separation. It's that simple. Like, that fixes all of pass interference right there. Because you're running down the field, right? Running down the field. You throw your hands up, defender gets there early, easy call. The offensive player didn't touch him first, easy call. Running down the field, pushes his arm out and reaches, but he gets pulled back. That's not pass interference. He pushed away from the defender, trying to create separation illegally. Not pass interference. It's that simple. Or running down the field, right? And the defender grabs the arm and pulls him back. Offensive player didn't initiate the contact. That's pass interference. Everything becomes so much easier. So much easier if they would just implement that one rule on pass interference. I get so animated with that. I almost get like, yeah. So that's my soapbox on pass interference. I think that, do you have any situations? I'm sure if you have a situation where that doesn't work, put it in the comments and we'll talk about it later. I've thought about this several times and I have yet to have anybody be like, but what about this situation? That wouldn't work here. Like, and obviously this doesn't include holding, right? Holding is still a penalty, that kind of thing. And holding, especially at the line of scrimmage, is very...
That would essentially eliminate all offensive pass interference anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you'd never have to really call it, I guess.
Yeah. Because if the offensive player initiates contact...
defender can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want. And if you don't want the defender doing whatever they want, don't initiate contact. It's real simple. Like, it's so simple. And where I have heard some people say it gets like gray area is like, what if they're at the 4-yard line and they initiate contact and they're still touching beyond the 4-yard line or the 5-yard grace period, right? Like, what if they're still touching? Well, is the offensive player pushing or is the offensive player trying to get away and being held? Like, it's not that complicated. Like, if he's actively trying to create separation, then it's nullified because the defender is now just playing against the offense who's trying to create separation. Whereas if they're trying just to get away, they lock up and then they try to like get away from him, then it's defensive pass interference. It's real simple. Let's move on to the holding part of this. At the line, in my opinion, I think they should change the rule to an egregious hold. And what that means is, so I don't know how you would word this. We could play around, on how you would word such a thing.
Like aggressive holding or something?
Well, not even aggressive, but it's the plays where a defender has their arms up in the air and you can clearly see the dude reaching and holding and he's like, waving his arm in the air. That's a hold. They allow holding in here already. So if you're in here as a lineman and you grab the defender right here, they allow holding. Like you can grab their jersey right here. It's when they shift on you and now they're running like this that they'll call it. So I like that because I think it's unrealistic to expect a man to block a 330-pound D lineman with just his hands like this. Like that's not going to work. Like you're not going to block a 220-pound dude just like this. You're going to grab on. I do believe that it should be called if you get inside the pad. I believe that happens a lot and they allow it. I believe that should be holding. You shouldn't be able to lock into a guy's pads like that. And every offensive lineman on the planet is going to disagree with me on that. But I don't believe you should be able to do that. That's no difference than grabbing the face mask or grabbing anything else that's illegal. But like I said, I don't know exactly how you would word that. That's why the NFL has lawyers. That's why the NFL has lots of very highly paid people, because they're a billion-dollar industry, once again, to figure out how you would word such a thing and get it right. That being said, it is, I will admit, the one gray area that I don't have a perfect way to solve. And I'm willing to admit that. I'm not gonna bitch and moan about the holding calls that do get called and don't get called because I don't have a perfect way to fix it. Pass interference, I got a way to fix that. Spotting the ball, I got a way to fix that. Those I'll bitch about because those I have a way to fix. And if somebody who's 28 and doesn't have any special degree in business or anything like that, can figure out in my chair in front of a computer how to fix this shit, Zebra Technologies. It's called Zebra Technologies. You can look this up. They are literally the people that develop new technology for the referees in the NFL. And why you wouldn't, if you're the NFL, pour way more resources than you already do into fixing the game and making it as stable and reliable as possible to ensure that your product lives as long as it can. I mean, I get you're making billions of dollars. Who cares? Why would you not want to make trillions of dollars? Just because you're at a high level doesn't mean there's not another level. It can get better.
Well, I mean, that's
the
problem. Is that if they continue to keep doing this and keep messing up like this, people are going to end up just stop watching the NFL. I know a few people that are. I'm not saying I'm going to.
Yeah. I know. I've heard it. I've heard people.
I hear people saying no, I don't care to watch the NFL anymore because of it's too easy to rig games.
I stopped watching the NBA. Right.
I have not watched a full NBA game in 2-3 years.
I'm a Lakers fan. Purple and gold. Rep purple and gold forever. I'm a Lakers fan. I like to tune into the Lakers every once in a while, but I don't follow the NBA outside of maybe playoff time really hardcore anymore because of guys like James Harden. James Harden ruined the game of basketball for me. Watching him just drive the lane and create any contact and get a whistle immediately made the game. I mean, it was just him going to the line 35 times a game. And I was like, well, this is cool. All right, sit here and watch him shoot free throws, and then the play would happen, then he'd get the ball, and he'd drive the lane, throw the ball up. Oh, well, back to the free throw line we go. All right, stop the game. Watch him shoot free throw. And it became boring, and I don't enjoy that. And it makes the product less fun to watch, overall. And I'm not saying the NFL's at that level yet, and, you can infer whatever you would like to infer based on the information we have provided for you here today. But I don't think the NFL's rigged. Overall, what I think is happening is it is the NFL having a lapse in judgment and not pouring more resources into making the referees, 1, more accountable, 2, fully paid, and 3, more technologically advanced. So, 1, that's something we haven't touched on. I forgot to touch on, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you believe in fining the referees for illegitimate and bad calls? I'm not talking about a questionable holding call in the first quarter, on he kind of held, but whatever. But on a missed penalty where the dude's throwing the game-winning touchdown pass, and on the backside of the play, there's a dude with his arm over his head being gang tackled by 2 dudes onto the ground, and it's a clear and obvious hold, and they get the game-winning touchdown. Referees fined.
Well, the problem with that is how much are they going to be fined? because obviously you got to pay them enough to do the job in the first place, and you also got to. You got to.
I assume it would be the same percentage that NFL players get fined for certain things.
And then the NFL is just going to fine them?
Just like with the players, right? So you'd give the referees an association,
I just don't know. I don't think the NFL would ever do that, but they probably should. Honestly, I'm not. Should.
I'm not saying that they will. I'm saying this is how you fix the problem. You do it. And you would obviously the referees would get a union immediately, which the NFL would hate, right?
Yeah.
Same with the NFLPA. The NFL hates the NFLPA because that's why Jeremiah Trotter, former Browns center, didn't get signed a few years back. He was like an All-Pro 2 years before, Pro Bowler the year he got didn't get re-signed by the Browns, and no team would touch him because he was the president of the NFLPA, and they didn't want the president of the NFLPA Players Association in the locker room with the other players. They felt like it could be a negative thing for them because corporations hate unions. It's a no-brainer. So the referees get a union. They would hate that. They would obviously negotiate for wages, and you would pay these guys, right? Like the back judge makes $75,000 a year, and the head referee makes $150,000 a year, and you can move up and make more, and depending on how well you do and how shitty you do, and you base it the same way you do on the players, right? There's got to be. They're not just throwing out random numbers at the players when they make an illegal hit and get fined the next Monday, right? Like there's a percentage based off what happens and how egregious and all these things. You use the same standard for the referees. If there's an egregious hit and it doesn't get called, and it's a game altering play, boom, fine for the ref. And if you don't like it, do your job. Do your job better. And I understand how currently that could be an issue because it is so heavily dependent on a snap decision in real time. But what the world I'm talking about also has all the technological advancements that we've also talked about in this video, and all those things to help them get it right? So they would have a lot more help in ensuring that it gets called right. That should also be said. I don't think it's realistic for the current world we live in, refs to just start getting fined, right? I mean, they're holding on every play, and the NFL could deem, that's an egregious hold that you missed. Here's a $3,000 fine, and you make $100,000 a year. That's, not fair in my opinion. But I also don't think it's fair that, a practice squad guy who makes $250,000 gets, I think the minimum is $550 a year, so $550,000 gets a $50,000 fine because he, the offensive player ducked down when he was trying to get away from another tackle, and you came in and accidentally hit him in the head, even though you were aiming for his ribs. Like, that's not fair either, and the NFL has zero issue doing that. So, it is what it is. But let us know what you think. Leave it in the comments. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the noti bell. It's real simple. It's just all it does is help us. It doesn't do anything negative for you. We post like 3-4 times a week. You get like 1 to 4 little red dots on your icon each week. That's all it does. And it helps us tremendously. I don't know, man. Seems like you should be turning on the noti bell. But all right, Spoon, you got anything else you want to add?
Nope. I think we're good.
Make sure to tune in. Film Room Friday. We're going to be breaking down the Super Bowl matchup. We're going to do 2 parts this week and next. So make sure to tune into both of those. Noti Bell will let you know when they drop. Other than that, we will see y'all
next
time.